Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, we will slowly come into the multiple object repetition and all these possibilities that gives us a sense of movement in a static formation, the contrast that we have created, the fuzzy outline that we have already created, we repeated a character, we made some scale change and then repeated it, and we tried many different things. We are going to try even more possibilities to get action in a static sequence, and thus will create more and more illusion in the movement, illusion of movement in a static picture. So, this is one example of a sequence which looks like a multiple exposure photograph. So, it is not that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 people in the same scene, but it may also happen that the person is moving from this point slowly to this point. So, basically in this picture there is one action that is taking place. So, when we look at this, it is not about the human figure, not about the pole or the human figure, but the emphasis is totally on the action that is taking place. So, in this picture, it is almost like a chronophotograph where we are capturing movements by sequence. So, if this is the first sequence, this is the next step, the third step, the fourth step, fifth step, sixth step, seventh, eighth, ninth and so on. So, this is how it starts from this part and it goes to the end. So, it is more like a multiple exposure photograph that gets captured in sequences. That is one way of creating multiple images and then provide the viewer with some sense of action. It is another example where things are not happening in a scientific sequence, but there is sense of repetition with some variation that is taking place here. So, we have option of adding more and more figure, as many as we want here. So, seen in the picture are figures, like if I take a count, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 figures. Let us add more figure to the sequence. So, it is an action, that is, we can call it walk. It is a movement with multiple object. We can have another figure with a similar walking gesture, maybe just a variation. So, there is suddenly a movement that is taking place and it may also change in its order. So, by the time it comes here, it looks as if it is going to catch something and it is not just in a intention of walking. A sense of walk can be also created with a single image. So, this is a single image, but it also gives you a sense of movement. So, this person is walking, the person is taking a brisk walk. Another character who is also walking in the same sequence. Who is perhaps a little slow in action. So, everything can be depicted with a single sequence where we depend mostly on our experience that this particular gesture, which is a momentary gesture, it's just one step, but it reminds us of the step before and the step after. So, a single step is also sufficient, but multiple steps also provide us with interesting options. So, let us talk about analogies, more metaphors, allegories and many other actions that gives movement to a picture and where we need multiple images to depict that. We will try to see it with more examples. So, for example, let us go back to our earlier knowledge that a C formation gives us a sense of continuity. So, let us find out the analogous images for the C. It can be a C which looks like a banana. It can be a moon, the crescent, let us make it a little animated. So, that is the shape of a crescent. This can also be the cutter to cut the crop. Part of the very famous communist symbol. This can also resemble something with a different scale, like a bin structure, maybe a child, or a mother. This can also have some resemblance with a telephone receiver, so if we want continuity and we want a composition that has a C-like order that will give us a motion towards a direction, that is from left to right, we can choose any of these objects to replace the formation, which is like the beginning of a bracket, a first bracket. So, that is how we can think of analogous objects to think of our composition. So, we have been talking about the forms that has some regular association, some natural association. So, they were all objective forms. Even when we work with non-objective forms with no meaning, for example, we have a line which does not start from a point and comes back to the same point, giving it a particular shape, or it is a shape that does not have any resemblance with any other object that is found in nature. Those non-objective shapes, those non-representational forms can also produce similar actions. So, by multiplying non-objective forms, by multiplying simple color, by multiplying simple lines or texture, we can actually create a lot of drama happening in a composition. So, this line has no resemblance with a particular object that is found in nature. So, let us take it as a single unit, and we are going to multiply it. So, if we have multiple lines like this, which are also parallel to each other, we may also group them up and then multiply it. and we can keep going on and on and on by this repetition. So, what we see is we have grouped one sequence, one group of object, and that object got repeated quite a few times to give us a sense of a surface with a particular texture. So, in this texture where there are overlappings, we are getting a low value surface So, the low value surface is a darker surface and the darkness is created by multiplying the object, by overlapping, by repetition. So, that way the object can also give us a sense of volume, a sense of texture that will be built up with this pattern. So, let us try out more non-objective shapes. Let us take the earlier example of C-like formation, which comes under the family of crescent. So, this is a crescent shape. Let us color it. Let us choose a bright color. So, it is a royal pink crescent shape with a black border. We are going to use it as one unit, copy it, paste it, overlap it, So, this particular shape when repeated is giving us a pattern. We can again group them up, put it as one unit, reduce the size, make it very, very small, copy it, paste it, put them together, This can again be grouped up, reduced in size, taken, copied and pasted, to multiply it and get newer textures. So, multiplying non-objective shapes, we can create arbitrary texture. We can also give it some feel of a surface which is perhaps similar to the natural formation. So, that will also create connection between the objective and non-objective shapes, the representational and non-representational shapes. So, by repeating a line which is otherwise non-objective, we can get a surface texture which is similar to a natural surface. So, these are the possibilities that we can explore through multiplication and also give it some sense of a movement.